Hi, old guy in shed again. I decided to do a little walk around of two bikes that I own. They are, the criteria I've used is that they're below 400 and above 300cc. One is the V35 Guzzi, which is a 350, and the other is a Suzuki GT380. The reason I've used this is because when you see them, you'll be forgiven to thinking that the Guzzi is the older of the two bikes, and it isn't. The Suzuki is younger by 6-7 years or something. It's a 71 model, although 72 registered, the Suzuki. And they first produced, I can't remember the exact date of my one, but they were first introduced, the 350 Guzzi, in 77. So 76, 77. So it's considerably younger, the Guzzi, but it's more of an old man's bike. And when you see the two, and I talk you through them, I'm sure you'll understand quite where I'm coming from with this. And it's quite interesting that now, all these years later, and it is a long time later, that they both are now viewed as as classics in their own right, and they have similar people follow the same bikes. Does that make sense? I mean, back in the day, the young lad would always go for like 3-cylinder, 2-stroke, screamy chrome, bright paint, where his dad would have the 350 Guzzi to get to and from work. But now we're all old guys looking at these bikes of our earlier time. So they're both good bikes. You know, they both have their merits. They both have their good and bad points. And now I think that's the time for me to actually take you around the bikes and have a look. Okay, here we have the Guzzi first, which I can say is a nice enough bike, and there's nothing wrong with it. But it is a little staid looking when you compare it with the 3-cylinder 2-stroke of the Suzuki, which is much more the young man's bike. I think in the day most youngsters would prefer this with all those exhausts and all the paraphernalia that came with the Suzuki. I mean, it looks just a better piece of equipment in terms of appeal. And then you look at the Guzzi, which all works obviously, but it's just a bit more staid in the way it looks. And it has to be said that the Italians did a way better job of surviving the Japanese onslaught than the British industry did. And you look at the how pretty that little Suzuki is, and then you go to the Guzzi, which is a good bike, but it isn't that sort of pretty that was required by young men who wanted these bikes to go tearing around the streets on. And I think that's the difference. The Guzzi would get you to work every single day. It would take you on holiday. Whereas the Suzuki would just turn heads and be the machine that you'd want your mates to see you on. I like them both. And now we've all got older, we can understand the difference between what is practical and what is just pure fun. They are both good bikes. They both have their merits. I certainly wouldn't want to just choose one over the other. And it's made me realise that more so now, we can't just have one motorbike. We need more than one bike. So, like I say, we need more than one bike in our lives. I mean, I know I've got more than one. I mean, a little bit on the greedy side. But the Suzuki has that sparkle to it, that it's almost indescribable. It's almost indescribable because it is just so much fun to ride. it comes alive at certain RPM. You have to know how to ride it. It's light, it's nimble, it's great fun, and it makes a great noise. Blah 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 blah, and all those things that you can talk about with a Japanese bike. But the Guzzi gives you that solid, grounded, stable feel, and it's comfortable, and you could go a long way without fatiguing on it, and you get way better fuel consumption. Oh, the fuel consumption is fabulous on the Guzzi by comparison, but if you want to get sort of pedantic about fuel consumption, the 500 Falcone is even better. You're just going to have to take a while to get there, wherever it is you want to go. So I can understand why Guzzi went the way they did. And like I say, they did a way better. The whole Italian, although they had a lot of companies that did go to the wall, overall the Italian manufacturing kept going in the face of the Japanese and produced things like the Benelli 756, which I mean, I'd still love to own one. I don't suppose I ever will now, but what a machine, you know. And they did have that Japanese look to them, so they really did take them on and did a damn fine job, and are still going. I mean, yeah, the Ducati, the Aprilia, Benelli are still going, Moto Guzzi are still going, and you've got to admire them for that. Well, I certainly admire them for that, because I saw the demise of the British market, where it in my humble opinion, came down to the absolute complacency of the management and the arrogance of the management to think that the Japanese couldn't produce machines big enough to compete with the British motorcycle industry, you know, which was then come out, whereas NVT at the time, wasn't it? With the Norton Commando and the Triumph Bonneville, extremely good bikes, but they did need to move on, and the Italians did. They did move, although it could be argued that Guzzi didn't move very far, but somehow kept that mystique going, kept their relevance in the marketplace. Your thoughts? I'd be fascinated to hear them. Argue with me if you wish. I would like a good discussion about the way the Italians resisted the onslaught of the Japanese, and we didn't, and how they're still there today and still producing fine motorcycles, which I thoroughly enjoy riding. So share the video, see if anybody else wants to come in and argue. Not for the argument's sake, you understand, but for the discussion. I shouldn't say argue, I should say discuss. And click the like, and let's see if we can come to a conclusion as to why it is that these fancy Japanese bikes, as good as they were, overran the whole market against the Italians and the British, as good as they were, because I still believe the British industry was a good industry, albeit not keeping up too well. Your thoughts? I'll go in the shed saying bye. Till next time, all the best.